Welcome everyone to week 4, the last week of the January Advisor Ambassador Program. My name is Zach Hewells and I work in the Marketing and Communications Department at the NAFA Home Office. I'm very excited to introduce to you today Rodney Mogen, who is the expert in time management and cash flow, and that's what he's going to be presenting for us today. Rodney is a very active NAFA Texas member, works a lot at our conferences, and we're very lucky to have him join us for those. But I'm going to turn things over to Rodney so he can go ahead and kick off our afternoon with his presentation. Rodney, go ahead.
All right, Zach, thank you so much, and I appreciate everyone having given me the opportunity to speak today. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is time management and cash flow. And it's kind of funny that I'm talking about time management today, because yesterday alone I did 15 appointments. Today I've already done 6, plus I just actually finished speaking at the NAFA Houston luncheon, and had to jump right on this call. So I apologize if the background's not the greatest, but it's there. Zach, I want to make sure you're still on. Okay, there we go. One of the things I wanted to talk about today is Zach, did I lose you?
No, I'm good. We're good. I'm good. You there?
No, today is my background. Really looking at strengths and weaknesses, and then also time management techniques, and then also finally managing your cash flow. So next slide. When it comes to spending time, you really have to have a really good idea about where you are going to spend that time and where your drivers are. For me, I actually work with advisors. I help advisors drive their business. I help advisors. I coach them. I am their insurance specialist. I do a lot of planning for advisors if they don't want to do their own financial planning. But you might have a different type of practice. So you have to really look at what is the driver in your practice. And, to me, I think we're all common. Our 4 or 5 biggest drivers are appointments held, because we don't help people unless we see them, right? Appointments set, because if we don't set the appointment, we can't see people. And then, prospecting and incoming or outgoing calls so that you can get those appointments set. So as you can see, those 4 are really big drivers for me. The 5th one for me is casework, because in order to actually present the solutions to clients, I have to do the casework. So all of those are drivers to my practice. Some of what I call time sucks from my practice, and that's sorry, but you fall into the admin category, and that is that administration. That is the relationship building stuff. That is the networking. They're all vital to growing my practice. However, they are time sucks. So I want to make sure that a majority of my time and my practice are on the drivers of my practice, not necessarily the time sucks. So in the next slide, one of the things that you're going to see is that you've got to really manage your calendar. You've got to manage your calendar the strongest way possible. And so what I like to look at it this way is you are the pilot of your business. So you're sitting there in the cockpit, but as part of your you flying that plane is you've got to make sure that you are running on autopilot when it comes to certain things, but you also got to make sure you're trusting other things or other systems on that plane. So if you're a pilot, you're sitting there and you're flying the plane, but you're also controlling the oxygen. You're controlling, airflow, fuel consumption, navigation, all those different things, and you can't do all those physically yourself. Okay, so for me, my navigation is my calendar. Everything is planned out on my calendar. Everything matches my calendar. And I have a lot of people that want my time. So what I've done is I use a tool called Calendly.com. And on that tool, people can actually book my time. if it's an intro meeting, it's 30 minutes. If it's a quick talk meeting, it's 15 minutes. If it's a phone call, generally 30 minutes. But I've got it broken down into different things, and in there, I've got 5 categories, and in those 5 categories, I only allow certain amounts for each one of those. So if it's a client meeting, that has the most amount of time on my calendar, and the most clients can book those, book those slots. So it's usually about 30 spots on a weekly basis that the clients can book. If it's an administrative call or, something, hey, I just want to check in and look at something like that, there's only 10 or 15 slots on that. So if you can't book during that time, you might be 3 weeks out before it fits your calendar. So I'm okay with that because I don't want to take away too much of my time. So I block and push some times out. I allow people to book time on there, but that way it makes me actually move my practice more smoothly, because now I got people booking time, and that's one less thing I have to do. I still have to go out and prospect. I still have to go out set appointments, but because I have a lot of repeated clients, or I have a lot of new clients that have heard about me, they just know to go to my website, click on Calendly.com, or the calendar link, and actually book time. So it actually saves me some time by doing that. So on the next slide, one of the things that you're going to see, excuse me, is some of that technology. So the one part of your practice is you can do everything by paper. You can do everything on your own, but the more you want to simplify, the better. So we talked about online scheduling. There's online algorithm tools. Different companies call them different things, but maybe you've seen on commercials or on radio something called Ethos. Okay, well, this is not a company that we work with, right? It's direct to consumer, but it's in direct competition for us. Why? Because if you ever listen to the ad actually talks about, well, I don't want to have to meet with an advisor. I don't want to answer all those questions. I don't want to do this, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's how they see us. So if you have tools where people that just want a simple term policy, or they just want certain simple things, they can go onto your website, fill it out, and get the answers that they need, or start the process that they need, that makes your life easier, but it also makes their life easier. And now you give another touch point for them to actually talk to them. Electronic apps. I have fought this for probably 10 years. I like doing paper. I like actually sitting in front of the client and asking. Over the last year and a half, every single one of my apps is electronic. You know what I found? I saved over 130 hours a year by doing an electronic app. You're still filling out the same information, but you don't have to book another appointment for the client. You don't have to do different things. You can get all the information in the last appointment, send it out to them, and it's all taken care of. It's sent in. A lot of them actually will help you schedule the underwriting requirements, all that, all done there. And then the most important one is a CRM. I use an online CRM called Pipeliner Sales. I have used Zoho. I've used different ones. You want to have one that is easily accessible, that you can fill in information, and that will actually move to different systems that you have. So really looking at that, the technology is very important. So next slide. One of the biggest things when we're looking at time management, and on the next slide you'll see, Zach, if you can move it to it, is really looking at how you actually work with people and your team. So remember that plane analogy I talked about, and you are the pilot? You're the pilot of your overall situation. But if you've ever been on a plane, you know that the pilot, while they control the plane, so you have to control your times, you have to have an agenda, you have to set expectations, but all of those are different systems. You also have to set your team up the right way, and so that team, on the plane or in your business, is your staff. They need to know exactly who you work with, how you work, what you're going to do, and all those different things. So I'm a big believer of controlling your time, really figuring out, setting that expectation with the client or with whoever I'm meeting. So if you remember at the beginning of this meeting, I set an agenda of what we were going to talk about. Talked about the background, talked about systems, talked about different things. I always do an agenda for every meeting that I do, and on that agenda, I say how long my meeting is going to be. If I have it scheduled for 30 minutes, I say 25. If I have it scheduled for an hour, I say 55. Because I always want to end early. I always want to end, give them as much time and make them feel like they've actually accomplished things. But what I also want to do is, because I put a time on there of how long this meeting is going to be, I set that expectation that we're going to actually have it for that period of time. And now they're asking me if we're at 50 minutes or at 55 minutes, do you have a couple extra minutes, so I have a couple more questions? So now I've given them control to ask me and to actually go forward, and now it's a communication and two-way street. All right, so on the next slide, you really need to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you haven't done it, you should read the book, Strength Finder 2.0. You need to take the test for that and understand what your individual strengths and weaknesses are. One of the biggest things for me is I'm an activator. I get things done. I go out and I do it. However, I am not the most analytical. I am not the most sit there and get details done. So I find people that are thinkers. I find people that, are more finite. And when I hire a team member, I have them take that test. And if their exact strengths as me, it doesn't mean I don't hire them, but it just means that I'm not hiring them from the right role, because they're not what I want in that particular role, because my role is sales. My role is out there in front of clients. If I'm hiring for a staff person, they're probably not the right fit. But if they're the right person, I'm going to find the right fit for them. So you need to find people that are going to be able to play off your strengths and actually shore up your weaknesses. Organize your calendar for those strengths also. One of the biggest things that I do is, I'll give you a great example. This morning, I got up at 4 a.m. I walked the dogs. I did a round of emails and even practiced this presentation. I then worked out at 5:30. And I then checked some emails some more before I started my day. For me, I like to do my planning and my emails in the morning, and then also at lunchtime, and right at the end of the day when I need a break from other things. The rest of my day is client-facing or people-facing, because I want to make sure that I'm using my brain power, my energy to really do that. I have Asperger's, I'm ADD, so I've got to do things in little blips, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like this call. Anything more than 30 minutes, I've lost all focus. And anything more than 30 minutes, because of my Asperger's, I lose all my energy and all my emotions. So I do things in quick little things, and then I have breaks in between. And then what I do is I delegate my weaknesses so that I can focus on my strengths. All right, next slide. So, for me, like I said, I'm an achiever. I'm in belief, deliberative, competition, and command. But I'm not the greatest at adaptability. I do not like things that just pop up. I'm also not great at empathy or harmony or including. So my team, I actually have someone that I hired, and their job is she's called the Chief Connection Officer. She's my CCO. Not Chief Compliance, she's my Chief Connection Officer. Her job is to make sure that I am creating connection with my clients, with my team, with my staff. And then maybe that's a meeting, maybe that's a lunch, maybe that's whatever it is. But she puts stuff in my calendar to make sure that I develop connections and gives me a script to do that. You need to find the people in your organization that don't do the things that you're good at. They do the things that you're bad at, and then they help you get better at it. Or they actually connect for you. All right, next step. All right, so Part of the biggest thing with time management is really making sure that you have a really strong communication with your clients, with all your stakeholders. One of the biggest things I have is, for me, if you call me, it's urgent or important. I am going to respond to that. Text, it's a quick communication. It's something you need an answer to right now. I will get to you. However, if you email me, good luck. It's probably going to be 72 hours before I respond to your email. Emails to me are more summary only. They're real quick mass communication as far as like advertising or whatever, and it's more for documentation. So if you have a major issue and you're emailing me, I'm not going to see that as a major issue because you're not calling. So I have a bounce back on my email that says, if this is urgent or important and you need to talk about it, give me a call or shoot me a text. I am not going to actually respond, to this via email. I also tell them I'm in appointments and I only check my emails twice a day. I don't tell them I also check it in the morning because I don't want to train them that. I want them to know I just check it at lunch and I check it right at the end of the day. So those are the different things. And as you'll see on the next slide, one of the biggest things that I want to do is really make sure I have a planned out week and I know exactly what I'm going to do. So you're probably looking at this and you're going, oh my God, this is not going to work for everybody. Okay, this works for me. I need to have it be very, very structured. Otherwise, I don't know what to do. But as you can see, from 7 to 8 every day, I read articles. I do things to sharpen myself. I work out before that. I do things after that. I do networking events. I do all different types of things, and I fit things within there. I have to update this calendar. You'll see from 6 to 8 on Mondays, I actually have booked dissertation. Well, I actually got my doctorate last year, so I completed my dissertation, but I'm working on 2 books and 6 articles this year. So now that's my article writing time. And so I structure my day based on when I'm good at doing different things. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's all about clients. It's all about meeting. All right, on the next slide, the biggest thing is you need to know your calendar. You need to prep and have agendas. You need to communicate how your meetings are going to work and how you can best communicate with others. You need to have review. You need to review the information and you send it out. And then you also need to have a flexibility in your structure. Now, that's funny for me to say that because I don't like flexibility. But when I say flexibility in structure, it's not, okay, if Zach calls me up and says, hey, I need to move this from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Yes, that's part of flexibility, but it's understanding that for me, more importantly, if Zach calls me up and says, hey, we have this 2 o'clock, but I can't make it at 2. All right, but I had him scheduled from 2 to 3. It's that flexibility of I got to do 3 other things during that time. So I always have a backup plan that if a meeting changes on me, I know what I'm going to do during those other periods of time. So let's talk about, on the next slide, we're going to talk about cash flow. This is probably something that we all want to do. And in fact, one of the things I just talked about at the NEFA Houston meeting was really having that vision of what you want to accomplish and how you want to move it from there. But when we get into this business, and that's most of you on this call, you're new to this business, right? And you've got so many different things, and you're just learning how to get above water. You're treading. The analogy I like to use is you've fallen off a cruise ship. You're in the middle of a big ocean. All you have is your clothes, and you can see this island or Manhattan or whatever 20 miles away. You got to swim to it. Well, that island, Manhattan, Los Angeles, whatever, that is the vision that you see of where you want to be. But you're in the middle of this ocean and you don't have a whole lot of support. Yes, you might have a manager. You don't have a lot, but you know what you do have? If you have NEFA. And if you're a member of NEFA, you're going to have people that are going to be able to connect you, like me, like that. They're going to be able to actually give you rest stops along the way in that swim to get to your vision. And one of those rest stops is you need to understand what your goals are and figure out what those goals are, what those steps are. And, what you're probably not seeing is you're seeing this big, huge vision of where you want to be because you're not seeing all the little islands along the way where you can take a rest. And so that's where you got to have those goals, and then you have to have a budget that supports those goals. If you want to acquire 100 clients, but you're only going to put $10 towards marketing, it's probably not going to happen. So you need to really figure out how much money you can put towards that, how much you can do that, and then prioritize it and map it out and find the direction to get there. Some of the programs I use is QuickBooks. I use my CRM, and then I track everything. As you've probably seen, a few slides ago, I track my time. I track my expenses. I track all those different things, and I have monthly meetings with my team. When I was in the business for the first time, I wasn't married like I am now, but I had a girlfriend. So I had a monthly meeting with my girlfriend, and not my wife, different girlfriend, but she and I went over it. When I joined NAFA, I actually brought my goals and all my tracking, and I found a mentor at NAFA, and I met with them for coffee, and for 30 minutes, I laid out everything, and we tracked it and went over it, and we held to it. So now, like I said, I go over with my team, but I also go over with my wife, because my wife is part of my budget. She needs to know how much she can spend. She needs to know how much I'm spending to continue to grow and build, and we have conversations on it, and we make regular changes. Next slide. So one of the biggest things you can see is you don't do this by yourself. You do it with resources. I use tools like QuickBooks Online. I use Expensify to create expense reports, Calendly to set up my calendar. But the biggest resource, and I wish I could just splash it all over this screen right now, and that is NAFA.org. If you're looking at this call, you probably are already seeing how great this resource is, but then the meetings we go to, whether it be a local meeting, a state meeting, or the national meeting, the different resources on NAFA.org, whether it be discounts at Staples or Office Depot, or it be discounts with Horse's Mouth, which is a great marketing tool and planning tool. All different types of resources that you can utilize to help grow your practice at a pretty good budget number. So with that, I'm going to open it up for any questions.
Thanks so much, Rodney. I appreciate your time and your presentation as well. If anybody has any questions for Rodney, they can go ahead and type it in or unmute themselves and ask directly.
And sorry if we had a little technology issues, but again, that's part of that time management and that flexibility. You got to deal with some things that come up, right, Zach?
Yeah, you can always do Zoom on the go, right? I mean,
exactly.
Anywhere with anyone at any time.
All right. So it doesn't look like we have any questions, but if you have anything, reach out to Zach. Zach can get me, and I'll be more than happy to answer those. Zach, is there anything else you want me to add?
Yeah, if anybody does have any questions for me or for Rodney, they can reach out to me at recruitment@nafa.org. And I just want to let everyone know that if you haven't seen all 4 classes in January, then this is your opportunity to watch the recordings that are going to be sent out this week, catch up, join the discussion on Facebook, and if you watch all 4 classes, you'll get your certificate. But again, thank you, Rodney, for being on today. I really appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a great day.
My pleasure. You too, Zach. Have a great day.
Take care.